1 million monthly listeners, 600,000 monthly listeners. Is Spotify actually behind all of this? I think playlist manipulation. I noticed the fact that Timbaland was following this band to steal not just their music, but their name, likeness, and I go, why are they allowing it? I don't think it's an overstatement that the streaming ecosystem is changing overnight. Just in the last week, the number of AI bans that have been popping up, at least according to Music Business Worldwide, was something like 13, 14 that they identified. And they go about 4 million streams are attributable to these AI artists or AI bans. Now, here's the thing. I'm not seeing a lot of people talking about what I am the most worried about in this situation, because obviously AI music, AI artists, this is a thing. This is not the first time we're finding out about this. And this week I covered the Velvet Sundown. At the time, they had maybe 500,000 streams. And I just go, look, my biggest concern here is I go to the bio for this band, and the bio very clearly makes it seem like these are humans making human-made music and how they are representing themselves to the world. And I go, this is the first jump-off point that I'm going from on just being like, I'm kind of concerned because there are consumer fraud issues that come up. But this is not where the analysis ends. Funny enough, I actually went to the Instagram for this band and I saw that Timbaland is following. And I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but as I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole, I go, people are upset because they go, there seems to be bad actors right now that are deceiving, that are arguably stealing. And my question is, well, who are they? So in the realm of who are the bad actors, are we talking about people who have made AI music, or is Spotify actually behind all of this? Context. Spotify is a digital service provider, and we know that it is paying out tens of billions of dollars of royalties. So in this, we go, well, with this bundling situation that came up, so now people's music is being bundled with audiobooks, which means human-made authors are getting paid less. There's this dilution issue. And so I go, wouldn't it be advantageous for Spotify to have to pay out less? And would it be paying out less if we're talking about AI artists? So let me start by talking about Deezer. If you guys remember, Deezer is now trying to be like the watchdog for AI music. And so it's very like, we're going to call you out, we'll tag you if your stuff is AI generated. We also are not going to pay you royalties if your stuff is AI generated. So we really want to protect human-made music. And so I go, we've all been real curious about whether Spotify was going to do something similar. And so me, being the lawyer here, looking at the terms of service for Spotify, this is where this is potentially the biggest exposure for Spotify and what's really happening here. Because with all of these AI artists and bands going viral, and we'll talk about a couple of them having a casual 1 million monthly listeners, that's interesting. Spotify's not managing this. Spotify is not deleting these profiles. And in fact, what these AI band creators are doing is a violation of the Spotify's own terms of use. So look, we're going to go and do the deep dive. If this is something that you dig, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe. So in the realm of Spotify and how it's kind of involved in all of this, so I just start with, well, we know Spotify has the tech, it has the resources to be able to identify AI music in general. And we know that it has the ability to also disclose if something is made with AI, but it's not doing that yet. And I go, why not? So let me start with a couple case studies. I had said Music Business Worldwide had identified about 13 different acts, 4 million streams. I just go, well, we know that there's state and federal laws prohibiting consumer confusion, intentionally misleading the public. And so when I go, well, these bands are representing themselves to be real bands. And even, what was it? The Velvet Sundown came back recently and goes, no, we are a real band. I'll give Ben Jordan a quick shout out. He posted yesterday and he said, I ran the Velvet Sundown Dustin Silence album in both CD quality, uncompressed, and 24-bit, 96 hertz, both passed transcode detection. Every single track returned AI detection with 100% confidence on my AI detection algorithm chain. I have a newer model, which generative model looks like it was Suno, ranging from their version 3, 3.5, and 4.0. So as a journalist who has also co-founded an AI rights company, there's your evidence. So it's kind of like with the Velvet Sundown now coming back and saying, oh no, we are in fact a real band, with obviously no evidence to support this. And it seems for everyone else who is looking at the music, analyzing it, running it through their little AI detection software, it's coming back as, no, this is an AI creator who has created this band and is intentionally, fraudulently misrepresenting to the public. And so we go, what's the problem with that? Well, the problem, arguably, arguably, is that you have someone who's usurping royalties and trying to compete by pretending and presenting to the world to be real human-made music. And so for some of these acts, they're actually selling merch. So they are literally usurping opportunities. So you go, well, why would they represent, again, to the world and do a little follow-up? We are a real AI band. Well, it might just be a marketing ploy, because here we all are still talking about it. And since I spoke on this 2 days ago, they are now up to over 750,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Now I go back to the whole, I noticed the fact that Timbaland was following this band on Instagram. I just go, okay, this could potentially be that Spotify is allowing these AI artists and bands, so basically AI music, to get a big burst. And so we've seen a ton of different AI acts going viral, and they're getting playlist preferential pushes, Discover Weekly, and all these things. They're tripping the algorithm. And I'm wondering if Spotify is intentionally doing this because they are trying to do a little test. And I go, well, if these are not Spotify created AI songs, right? So meaning it's not actually Spotify behind it. It's that they're just allowing and supporting the AI music. Maybe they're doing it to test and see whether it can perform just as good as other people's songs. Maybe the average listener on Spotify is just very passive. And so they're really just looking for these playlists, these mood playlists that Spotify keep talking about. They really focus. It's not about the artists. It's not about people's brands or anything like that. It's about having mood playlists. And so if we can just shove in a bunch of AI music, well, if ultimately Spotify's intention is to usurp more royalties or keep more royalties for itself, wouldn't it be advantageous that it just make its own AI music? And so maybe this is a glorified test to kind of see, and maybe they thought no one would notice, but here we are noticing. And so besides the Velvet Sundown, there is Aventhis. This is a verified outlaw country AI artist with 1 million. And I go, is there anything here to lead me to believe or to think that this is a real human? I see there are 3 albums that were dropped very close in time. Go to the bio. I want to know. So this is a dark country project rising in the scene of gritty melodies, outlaw storytelling, dark cinematic tone. And then it does say, as you kind of cruise on down here, harnessing the creative power of AI. As part of his artistic process, Aventhis brings a bold new edge to the genre, while storytelling and all that good stuff. So we go, all right, well, is that enough disclosure? Is that enough for someone that they can reasonably know that this is an AI artist? At least to this creator's credit, they do at least have it in the bio. I stalked a little bit further and I'm like, well, who's claiming the copyright? So it's 2025 Aventhis music for the copyright. I went to the YouTube, 33,000 subscribers as of now. And funny enough, YouTube actually is tattling. In the description on YouTube, it says, quote, how this content was made was altered and or synthetic. So sound or visuals were significantly edited, digitally generated. Again, though, I had to cruise on through the description and to find this information. So I just go, all right, so to what extent does the disclosure piece have to be there? Because if we're not going to put it on the AI creators to properly disclose, if they are just blatantly lying in their bios, or if they do actually just put it in the bio, is it enough for the average person to just know? And if they are in all agreements and they love the AI music and it resonates with them, great. But I think that disclosure is an important piece here. One of the other AI bands, acts that I came across is The Devil Inside. So currently 600,000 monthly listeners. Same analysis going through, and we go quite the discography, pumping out a whole lot of albums. Very impressive. All the images that I can see thus far looks like AI. The Devil Inside is a dark country. It's been making waves in the music scene with their haunting melodies and brooding lyrics, hailing from the rugged landscapes of the American South. Looking for anything about disclosing that this is made with AI, with lyrics. Okay, no, the songs are based on real creative inspiration, but the characters are illustrative. Is that fair disclosure that these are AI songs? The images are part of a carefully crafted visual world that complements the music's dark cinematic atmosphere, much like a graphic novel or a fictional film universe. So The Devil Inside, AI band, hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners. Another band, in fact, has the name. This popped out to me again as an IP attorney. I went on and I go, The Devil Inside, that's a pre-existing band that is now being crushed by this AI band. When you go to search this name, you find this AI band. You don't find the other band that was already there. Now look, with the Velvet Sundown, I went diving because I go, I'm really interested about how many playlists this band has. And I go, I think the creator, assuming this is not Spotify itself, but that the creator of this AI band is using some playlist manipulation, because I gotta tell ya, I am seeing the most incredible diversity of random, very similar playlists. So meaning I'm just seeing all of these people creating very similar playlists using the title of the band's name and then just regurgitating it. And so I go to the extent that this is someone who is just manipulating, let's say, the Spotify algorithm, and maybe Spotify's not involved with this. Maybe Spotify is not experimenting and running tests. So let's pretend that's the case for a moment. We go, well, we do know that when you manipulate and do this like playlist warfare, you can trigger Discover Weekly, Release Radar, daily mixes. And I just go, if this is someone who is manipulating Spotify, one indicator of that would absolutely be what I'm seeing with the playlists. And then that also triggers, if you guys see that at the bottom of artists' Spotify profiles, it'll be fans also like, and then it'll recommend someone. And so you can kind of get yourself recommended again by, if you're honestly getting your real fans to go and add your stuff to playlists, create playlists around your music. But again, I'm just seeing an incredible amount of volume. And in fact, let me just see if I can pull this up. So just for kicks and giggles, going into their bio, let's see if they updated it. Nope. This band was still formed by a singer, Gabe, guitarist, Lenny. All right, so they have not updated that. Discovered on, all right, and then a bunch of playlists. And so on the Discovered on, as I was cruising down and I'm like, the Suits, they were on the Suits, all right. But the Velvet Sundown, you see this and you just continue to see this over and over. And so it's their songs over and over by different playlist creators. So I go, all right, that's unusual, but we're making a note. So then I go back to Spotify and I'm just like, Spotify silence at this point, despite it kind of coming out and being like, no, we will not tolerate impersonators. We will not tolerate intellectual property violations. And in fact, as noted in their actual terms of service, they say you cannot do these things. Otherwise, you're going to get deleted. You're going to get punished to the fullest degree that we can, but they aren't enforcing. And so our big question is, why not? Now, today, I ran across on TikTok, Novi. And I want to share Novi because this is a different type of infringement. Again, in the intellectual property realm of not just now an AI artist coming and creating music and misrepresenting that they are a human creator. This situation came across and I ended up talking to this artist. So let me share her story.
Someone made an AI artist project with my name and maybe my likeness, actually, come to think about it. The music sounds very similar to mine, yet she has about 262,000 monthly listeners and I have like 4,000. And all of her songs have hundreds of thousands of streams. I don't even know what to say about it. When you search my name, this is the first artist that comes up. And I've just seen another video of someone sharing this happening to them. This is freaking me out. It's like, I'm not gonna let it ruin my life, but I'm just surprised that this kind of thing is happening and people are actually listening to this. It does sound like AI music. It doesn't sound as authentic as real music to me, but what are we doing about this?
So I reached out to this creator and I just go, look, like, let's talk about this from the intellectual property realm. What are we going to do? So what she can do and what you can do in these situations, if this happens to you, is you go and you get your trademark immediately. If you get the trademark, it at least gives you some remedy for someone who is stealing your name. The fact that someone would come, find a real human artist that is making creative works, that is making music, and to steal not just potentially their music, but their name, their likeness. These are all different rights that you have as a creator, as an independent artist. And so in any case, I just kind of walked her through it. I go, get your trademark immediately. And then as soon as you have that, you can file takedowns. That is one remedy that you have in this situation. The other kind of downside to this that she's struggling through is that you have someone who's now going to cause confusion. And this Novi on Spotify has right now over 200, coming up on 300,000 monthly listeners. It's representing itself to be real. These AI artists, these AI band pages are also getting verified. And so they are getting those blue check marks. And none of this is getting regulated, dealt with by Spotify. And we're asking, why is Spotify silently sitting by while these misrepresentations are happening? I posted about this yesterday on Top Music Attorney on Instagram, but I basically just kind of gave you guys the feedback on the CEO's Daniel Ek. He helped to raise about $700 million for Helsing. This is basically an AI military tech firm, raising obviously further concerns about the royalties that are being earned, the money that is being earned on this platform, that it's going essentially to a tech company making AI weapons for war. So as you guys are coming in the comments and leaving your feedback, some of you are calling Ek a warmonger, that you're pulling your music off of Spotify altogether. And so this is where the whole sell before you stream comes into play. We talk about this because if you are going to take your music off of Spotify and different platforms, you should 100% be doing this, but you need to be doing this method either way. And this is the method where you actually sell your music directly to your fans on your website, on Bandcamp. And that if you ever do put your music on a streaming platform like Spotify, you do it as a very last step. You treat it like glorified marketing because that's not the way that you're going to make money. So the good news is that if you decide, you know what, I'm done with Spotify, I'm done with any of these platforms, you have the right to make that decision and you have a real meaningful way to still get your music out there, to still make money for your music career. So we have a separate video where we do a deep dive on that. Be sure to check that out. But in the kind of realm of the AI music takeover, is just starting. It first started with big corporations that jumped in and decided to, I don't know, start Suno and Udio companies. And in the process, they made a concerted, conscious effort to go onto these platforms like Spotify, like YouTube, to download copies of your music without authorization. When these things happen, we first call it out and we talk about it. And that's what we actually did for the last year with these companies. And so now we take action. And we've in fact filed class action lawsuits on behalf of independent artists against Suno and Udio. And here's the exciting thing. You get to be a part of this no matter what. If you want to support independent music and fighting against companies and people who do bad things, who just go and steal and misrepresent, well, they're going to have to pay for that. And the great news is you can not only join as a plaintiff, you can support the cause if you just want to get on the email list. And you can do all of that at indieailawsuit.com. And it's been really exciting on this channel in particular because we've been covering how now there are courts that are coming in our favor as far as, is it okay for these companies to go and to take creative stuff like music and books and train their AI on it without getting your consent? And we see courts are now starting to fall in line with saying, no, if you pirate, if you steal, it is not okay. You don't get to hide behind these doctrines that combat copyright infringement, which is exactly what they did. So as we go back to generally, is this Spotify exposed? Like really, it's not so much that we now have bad actors who are misrepresenting their AI music as something that it's not. That's the big focus here. But then my question is, how do we know that these are individuals that aren't working in conjunction with Spotify? At every turn, Spotify is always working with major record labels and doing side deals and benefit this and profit that. They're never looking out for independent artists. So I go, why would now be any different? And I'm concerned that if we know Spotify's own terms, their own contract that they make you sign says that they're not going to allow this behavior of what these AI bands or these AI creators are doing, and yet they're allowing it. And I go, why are they allowing it? That's interesting. When we compare a dozen different bands and artists, not just getting on Spotify, generating millions of streams, but also misrepresenting themselves as being real artists. So this problem is compounding and continuing to get more and more complicated. So is AI music, AI artists, AI bands really the new hit thing on Spotify? Or is this something to do with Spotify doing an experiment to see if it can replace your music? All right, guys, there's so much that we covered in this. Please leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think.